Thank you. Okay, you ready for me to get started? Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the Tucson-Pima County Historical Commission Plans Review Subcommittee meeting of Thursday, July 13th, 2023. Call to order at 1:02 p.m. And I'll go ahead and do roll call. Terry Majewski is here. Carol Griffith.
Here.
Jen Mulder.
Here. And Terry, I don't know if it's me or you, but you're real echoey. It could be me.
Okay, the others find that I'm echoey.
You're not echoey to me, but you sound a little bit underwater.
Yeah, that's probably a better description.
Same for me.
Okay, so Savannah McDonald, you said it's here, and Joel Ireland is not on. And then Jody, and then we have a presenter. I suspect, sir, that you're the presenter for the first case, but I'll call you later then. Okay, item 2 is approval of legal action report / minutes for the meeting of June 22nd, 2023. Is there a motion to approve as submitted?
I'll move that we approve the minutes.
As submitted? Okay, and who is the second?
I'll second. This is Jan.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call the vote. Terry votes aye. Carol?
Aye.
Savannah?
Sorry, aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, passes 4-0. Item 3 is historic preservation zone review cases that we review under UDC section 5.8/TSM 9-02.0.0 historic district design guidelines and revised Secretary of the Interior standards and guidelines. The first case is 3A at 500 South Convent, number SD 0623-00062. It's for a porch with deck and roof repair. This is in the Barrio Historic Preservation Zone. Jody, would you like, it is a community resource to review it under the rehabilitation standards. Jody, would you like to give us background?
Sure. This project was heard by the Barrio Historic Zone Advisory Board on June 12th. They made a motion to recommend approval of the project with some conditions. 1, that the development zone map is revised. 2, that the front porch posts are replaced in kind. 3, that the shed roof at the rear is placed under the eave. 4, that the transoms at the rear should replicate the transoms at the front facade. And 4, that the solar panels are designed so they're not visible from the street, or that the placement is less busy. In regards to the last one, the solar panel review is actually done under a separate permit. So they would come back through for a minor review when they are ready to put on their solar panels. And it was approved 3-0.
Okay, thank you. And who's presenting the case today?
Me, Tim Polito.
And could you spell your last name, sir?
Polito, Polito.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Go ahead. Will you be able to share your screen?
Can you see me or no?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay.
Tim, do you want to share? Can you share your screen to show the?
Sorry, I don't know what that means.
I can do it for you.
Okay. It means just share it to everybody else. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
with
you
your presentation.
But
The
if you,
documentation?
yeah.
Oh, let me pull it up. I just have it in my hand.
So it's up to you. I can either share my screen or you can share your screen to kind of walk the subcommittee through the plans.
Okay. Yeah, let's do yours.
Okay. That's fine. eventually I'll be able to share it. There it is. Can you all see?
Yes.
So, and then Tim, just tell me where you want me to go. What page?
So Rachel just told me all I have to do is read the narrative, or
Okay.
is there something more that I need to do?
That's fine. You can read the narrative.
Okay, so I'm just gonna read it. And then you guys can ask me questions. I'm just the builder, so I know a lot about it, but I don't know a lot about this process. The existing historic house is located at 502 South Convent, had fallen into disrepair for a number of years before being purchased by the current owners. And I think it was close to 30 years it's been dilapidated. The existing cedar shake roof is presently only on the north, south, and east elevations, as the west face of the hip roof burned in a fire. And I believe that was about 20 years ago. The fire damage was never fully repaired due to this, water was able to penetrate into the house. That led to the failure of a large portion of the adobe wall in the west end of the house. So I can't remember if she showed pictures, but the west end is pretty dilapidated. For this project, we propose repair the damaged roof framing, replace the collapsed west adobe wall with a masonry wall to restore the structural integrity of the home. This includes replacing the front porch columns. She originally said tube steel, but we're going to like for like on that. A new corrugated metal roof is proposed to replace the deteriorating cedar shake at the existing house and front porch. 2 existing skylights are to be replaced. The existing adobe walls will be repaired with like material. All the exterior walls will be patched and repaired with lime sand plaster to match the existing finish, then painted as it is painted now. Typically, we don't like to paint, but since it's already painted, we'll repaint. We propose repairing and replacing all double hung wood windows like for like. We also propose to add an additional window on the north elevation. These will be replicas of the adjacent windows on the same elevation. All will be painted or finished with a clear coat to protect from sun damage. Currently, there is a mix of brick row, lock, and concrete window sills. We propose to replace all sills with a concrete for consistency. The existing front and back doors need to be replaced, and we are proposing to add transom to the back doors to match the front doors. These will also be painted to match all wood trim with a clear coat or paint. The new masonry wall at the west end will rest on the original historic stone and mortar foundation with a new concrete foundation and stem wall just outside the original footprint to lend stability and to provide a footing for the new west porch that is proposed. The new porch will have a central concrete stair flanked by 2 pairs of tube steel columns. The porch will have a skirting of corrugated metal to match the roof, Trex decking for the flooring, and wood decking at the ceiling. And the wood decking will actually be a replica of what's at the ceiling on the front porch, which is an old, I can't remember the name of it. We propose to add a trash enclosure at the north end of the porch, constructed of tube steel and corrugated metal. West of the porch and trash enclosure, we propose a masonry wall, stucco to match the house in color and texture. This will wrap around and extend to the south property line. There is an existing wrought iron gate at the northeast corner of the property that we propose to be used to access this rear yard. An additional tube steel and corrugated metal gate will be replaced between the 2 west yards. And then that's just the project summary. Do I need to go through the rest of it as well?
Yes.
So the design standards, all of the responses and all that stuff?
Well, or we could just go with questions. What would you like to hear, commissioners?
Terry, this is Joel Ireland. I just got on at 10 after 1. I apologize for being late.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So commissioners, what would you like to do next? I mean, it's not so helpful that, I mean, we can read in the application, but do you have questions you want to ask, or how do you want to handle this? Because
Tim,
This is Carol.
yeah, go ahead.
I have some concerns and, I just want about, the adobe, you're gonna have adobe walls and then new masonry walls. And, you know, that isn't always compatible with, you know, the different materials. So how are you going to deal with that issue?
so typically what we do, so the only masonry that's going to be done is on the west wall of the end of the house.
Mhm.
And that west wall, it's just basically the center portion of the wall is completely destroyed, and it'll have the weight of the roof and the new porch on it. So we propose masonry for there. So you've got two connections on the left and the right side, on the north and the south side. You've got two connections. And typically what we do is we have dowels that dowel into the adobe, and it's separated by a little bit of foam and adobe mud, and then also a lime plaster. So there's a little bit of flexibility there. There's always that chance that it cracks a little bit right there. But we feel in the long term, rather than rebuilding it with adobe on that end where there's so much structure sitting on top of it, that it would be better for that middle piece to be out of block. And that's how Rachel designed it. And the owner's house, which is right next to it, it was built the same way and designed by Bob Vint about 8 years ago. But there's no other block walls in there, just that very end.
At the very end. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed it. What was the finish of the stucco on the masonry?
It's stucco to match the existing house.
What's that finish though? What's the stucco finish?
It's a sand finish.
Okay.
It's a fine sand finish on there, smooth sand.
A light sand. And
Yeah.
that's what the existing stucco is as well?
Yes.
Yes, I have a second question then. Will that be a lime?
Not on the block. The block doesn't adhere lime, only on the adobe.
Only on the adobe. So those two will abut as well. Yes or no, or how?
I'm sorry?
So will the two different types of stucco be abutting each other, or will there be a separation of some type with another material?
So typically the lime plaster goes on first, and this house unfortunately has a coat of concrete plaster over the old lime plaster.
Okay.
So when you go on top of the block and then over to the existing plaster that's on the house, it's going to look the same because there's a coating of concrete plaster on the old adobe walls already. So in the pictures, in that pink color, that's paint, but that plaster on there is a concrete plaster over the old adobe plaster. So when we do it on the back, on the block, it's going to match because the adobe already has a coat of concrete plaster on it.
Thank you.
And we don't recommend taking it off because it deteriorates the adobe. As long as we continue to protect the water damage from happening in the future, then the plaster on the adobe should be fine. So we'll just leave it as it is. We'll just repair it and then paint it.
Mr. Polito, have you
Yes.
consulted with an Adobe specialist on these methods?
I'm sorry?
Have you consulted with an Adobe specialist on these methods?
Yes, because, well, I haven't consulted. I work with these guys on a daily basis. This is about my 8th Adobe home construction. So that's how we normally work, yes.
Okay. All right, who has other questions?
Well, since these photos are up, can you talk about the front porch work and the eaves and just the existing wood scope?
Yeah, so the front porch, we won't be changing anything other than just repairing anything that's completely rotted. So there's 3 posts on the front porch. Rachel had originally put steel for those posts to be replaced, and the Historic Commission requested them be like for like. So we'll just be remaking those, custom making them to match exactly what's there. Other than that, there's nothing else that changes there other than replacing the windows and the doors, as I read before, but like for like.
And adding a new window here.
And then that, exactly, that's the new window there. And then if you went down a little bit further, you'll see that section of stucco there that isn't painted. That's the portion we're talking about as being blocked, because the original owner, after the house burned, he took a lot of that apart and then built some crazy framing over it. So there's only a very small portion of adobe left in the middle, but the rain and the weather has deteriorated what adobe is left there. So right now we're just supporting the roof on the inside because there's almost no adobe left. But we won't cut off the 2 corners on both ends so that we keep the integrity of the existing adobe. And then we blend the block and the adobe on that back porch.
Okay, other questions?
This is Jan. I just had a question about, you said you're replacing all of the windows, and I just wondered what the condition of the existing windows was, if any of them could be retained or if they've been assessed.
Yeah, they're in pretty bad shape just because the house hadn't done any work to it in a very long time. So pretty much all the windows have rot in them. And then the owner also wants to have energy efficient windows rather than a single pane. So that's the reason we're changing them. And actually the 2 on the front, those 2 were replaced at one time before, but they're not historic.
Okay, why, you also said all the windows and doors were being replaced in kind, but the front ones sound like they're not original, and then at least one of the doors you said was already gone.
No, the back doors are gone. There's no back doors there.
So they're not being replaced in kind. I'm just trying to clarify what's, what you'll be putting in where, say, the windows are not the original or the doors are not them.
I think the design for the doors is on the plan portion that Rachel did. I think that gives the current design for the front doors. If you go up a little bit on that sheet.
Hold on.
And Mr. Polito, who is Rachel that you referred to, and what's her last name, and who does she work for?
So Rachel Sarah is the architect who was supposed to be at this meeting.
Is
Yeah.
Sarah, S-E-R-R-A?
Rachel, R-A-C-H-E-L, Sarah, S-A-R-R-A, S-E, yeah.
And what company does she work for?
That's her company that's on these plans.
Okay,
On the label of the plans is her architectural company.
okay, when I see that, I will note that.
I think it's RCS Architects, Rachel S. Sarah,
I'll
RS,
check them.
yeah,
I think it's RAS Architects.
RAS, that's it. And if you look at the door design on their drawing, that's what she's proposing. So I was misspoken when I said like for like. I was reading the summary. I'm not as familiar with this portion because I'm not the one who drew it.
These are wood doors?
Yes.
Is that called out on the plans?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Jan, do you have other questions?
Yeah, could you explain, go back to the one where you had the photograph of the west elevation and just explain how that block wall relates to the new porch and the new block work?
Sure. So if you go down to the bottom of that.
Right there, yeah,
So you see the gray stucco?
right.
So that right there gets rebuilt in block. But you still have the wing ends that keep the adobe on the two wings on the left and the right side of that. And then basically the new roof comes down past it because they want us to lower the porch. So the porch will tie into the top part of it about a foot lower than the existing roof, so it matches the front. And then it's to be stucco. There's two doors that you'll see on the plans. And then the porch comes up about 3 foot to match the door heights back there. So, and then Rachel's got some steps coming down off of the porch. So in reality, when you end up seeing this, you're not going to see much of that back wall because it's covered by porch, and then it'll be blended in with stucco.
Okay, so that block is part of what's being stuccoed over, that block is remaining? I'm just trying to understand the porch configuration.
Yeah, so that wall that's there is a framed wall that's rotted behind, and that stucco that's on it. So we will take that off and replace that with a structural block wall, and then it will be stuccoed to blend in just as the two corners on the left and right. It'll blend into that. So
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking about is, I don't know if there's one or two of these wing wall things, if that's
there's
part
two.
of the
There's
structure
one
of
on the
the
left.
porch.
There's one on the left and one on the right. So the porches don't go to the very end.
Did that explain it, Jan?
Not exactly, but I'll defer to somebody else.
Okay, other questions? Savannah?
Yeah, that all sounds fine to me. That sounds good. My only question was about the addition, the porch, the back porch, and kind of the precedent and design of that. It says in the narrative that it is compatible with the development zone, but I didn't really see any. I didn't see the development zone outlined or any examples to prove that. So
Well, the advisory board said that the development zone map had to be revised. I mean, I think we need to consider those points that they raised.
okay, I didn't see that in our packet that went out. Did I miss that? The advice.
I don't recall seeing it either. Jody was there.
Jody sent it out, the minutes right before the meeting.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah,
I apologize. I missed this. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily concerned about it. I just didn't see that really covered in the materials.
And,
Oh,
and
we didn't see the map itself for the development zone, which we usually see, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and sometimes it's just nice to see like, oh, this is what our neighbor did, and it's just kind of compelling evidence. But
she took pictures, I thought were on here, of the different. There was another supporting documents. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then there's a porch on the neighbor's house. And a little bit further, right there's one. That's right next door to this house.
okay, are those steel columns?
No, that's wood.
Okay.
So I have a clarification. Is it true then that you've pretty much responded to the design? It may not show in the plans yet, but that you are responding affirmatively to Barrio Historico's request to change the front porch posts, the shed roof location, and then the transoms in the rear. Those are all changes you are making. Is that?
Yes, there are changes that have to be made and she has to represent to somebody for that. I don't know who she does it to, but they're on the responses on the letter in red, and those have to be made and gone back to them. Yes.
So she won't represent to them, but when you submit your plans for the permit, those will be addressed on the plans for the permit.
Oh, okay.
And I'm comfortable with those recommendations.
Okay, anyone else with questions?
Oh, I mean, the one more thing was just there's a new wall proposed in the front yard. I don't know if we talked about the site very much. Is that,
Oh, yeah, good
or is that
point.
the back? Sorry,
I thought it
the
was the front.
backyard.
I think this
It's,
is all in the backyard. I don't think
Oh,
we,
okay.
it's this wall.
yeah.
Okay.
There's currently a fence that's up here. This gate that's there is right here.
Correct.
So they're actually moving that back here
Correct.
and then putting this perimeter fence around.
Is
Okay.
that permit, is that part of the permit application? Because it's not listed on the agenda.
Yeah, it's part of the application.
I was asking Jody.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, it is part of the application. It's not on the agenda. Apologies. I didn't call that out.
It doesn't seem to be on the plans though, really. I don't see a site demolition plan or anything like that.
Right
Well-
there, it says proposed masonry wall.
Well, there's an existing masonry wall there, right there where that gate goes. And we
Oh,
took,
I guess that's what I kept asking about, I think.
there's an existing masonry wall that the previous owner built there. He did it illegally, so we took some of it out, and it's part of the plan to put that gate.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get clarification on, was those what
Okay.
looked like wing
I
walls
didn't
coming
understand
out.
that question.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, we're gonna stucco all that to match the
Okay.
house.
And so then the north side and the east side are not enclosed, is that correct? That wall just abuts the house?
Yes, correct.
okay. Well, that was all my questions. Thanks.
Yeah, me too.
Carol, do you have anything else, or Joel?
No, I didn't have anything else. I think everything was addressed. My big concern was the adobe and the mixed materials, but that was explained.
Right. So do we want to go over any more of these? The conditions from the advisory board, just to call them out, because I'm frankly not comfortable with this presentation. You know, I think we've got to really be very detailed about what we expect. And so
I agree. And the other thing that I guess didn't quite come up was whether that addition is the porch addition. There's still some new stucco and adobe that's going on, whether that should be distinguished or whether it should be the same as it's proposed.
I think it's a reconstruction, and so
Okay,
they're
okay.
proposing a match, which I feel comfortable with.
And
It's
none of the
just-
porch is enclosed, is that right? It's
No,
just that
none of
wall.
it is.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
I mean, I can go over each red item here.
Mm.
no, I think
Fine
it's-
with me.
yeah, if we just talk about, the things that were called out by the advisory board was the development zone map is revised to include comparable properties? Is that what was the discussion was, Jody?
The development zone is here. This is how she drew it. It really doesn't include this part right here. It only includes, where is she? She's on Convent. It
Yeah.
includes either side of Convent,
Right, not all the way around.
not all the way around, but she had an extra right here. But in reality, it's this part right here.
Okay,
To be clear, I mean, the development zone map is in place for your review, even though they want it to be revised. It really isn't used too much after you guys have reviewed it and made your recommendations. But it'll be in the record because she'll revise it. So when she resubmits her plan to address all of the conditions or any of the conditions that are put forth by the director, then one of them will be the revised development zone.
yeah. Well, I think it's important because if you go back for any reason and it's misunderstood what the development zone is, and that can happen, so.
I agree.
Yeah, and then the front porch posts are replacing kind. We've discussed that.
Mhm.
The shed roof at the rear is placed under the eave,
Can we talk about that for a minute?
which,
That third point,
sure,
the shed, they wanted it to be, she's showing it kind of in line with the edge and they want it to be tucked under. Is that it?
Yeah, just like this. See how this is tucked under right here?
Yeah.
She had it previously not tucked under. It was kind of like in line with it, pulling it out. So
Yeah,
they just want the eave of the house to be independent.
Okay. Got
Because
it.
she made it match the front of the house. Because the front of the house has it's all connected of the existing house. So they wanted it to drop a little bit. So that's how
Okay.
she had
That
that on
seems
the
fine.
back, but they wanted it to see the full line on the back.
okay, and then the next thing, the transoms at the rear should replicate the transoms at the front facade.
Correct.
So the concern that the advisory board had is how high up the transoms went. So here it's just a regular sized door and the transoms are right there. But when they were looking at the way that the transoms were set up, the transoms went all the way up to the plate line. And so they were concerned about how high they were up. And so want them to be more in line with what's done on the front of the house.
Okay. So if whoever makes the motion chooses to mention these things, do they need to translate what the motion that was made by the advisory board at that point? Is it unclear? Because replicate is a bad word, that shouldn't have been used. But transoms at the height of the transoms at the rear should be more like the transoms on the front facade.
More consistent. Yeah, you can say more consistent with the design and spatial relationship of the transoms and the doors on the front facade or something along those lines.
Okay, should it be mentioned in the motion that the solar panels will be reviewed under separate review as a minor review?
You don't need to mention that. I mean, that's already a given. That's just the way the process is set up. On a side note, did anybody have any comments about the sills? There's a mixture of sills and they're gonna take all the sills off and make them all concrete so they match.
Well, I won't remove the existing concrete ones. So there's about 2 or 3 that are existing concrete. I don't want to remove those, but we'll match the new ones. And then the brick ones were done some other time and they have fallen apart. So we'll fix the brick ones with concrete.
Do you have an
What do
issue?
you mean fix them with concrete? Repair them or remortar?
Well, no, we'll take the brick, the roll block brick out, and we'll reform it for concrete to match the ones on the outside of the walls that are already there. So if you look at the whole house,
So you're replacing it with
yes,
concrete.
correct.
And the ones that are concrete, they're in good condition.
Yes, there's no reason to take them out.
Okay. And other things? So those are the points that were raised, except we don't mention solar panels at this point. Would someone like to make a motion if there's no further questions?
Sure, I can do it.
Okay.
Okay. In the matter of the proposal of 500 South Convent, porch with deck and roof repair, which is a full review in the Barrio Historic Preservation Zone, contributing resource evaluated against rehabilitation standards. We recommend approval subject to the following conditions: that the development zone map be revised, that the front porch posts are replaced in kind, that the shed roof at the rear is placed under the eave, and that the transoms at the rear.
The
be
height
con-
of the transoms, Jan.
Okay, I was going to use Jody's language, but I don't have
Okay,
to.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
But I'll do that. The height of the transoms at the rear be consistent with the design and spatial relationship of the transoms along the front facade.
Okay, that sounds good. Is there anything else?
That's all I had.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Is there discussion? Okay, if not, I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry says aye. Jan,
Aye.
Savannah,
Aye.
Joel. Joel, are you there?
Yes,
Do you vote aye?
yes, I apologize. I'm trying to find my mute. Am I muted?
No, you're fine. Carol?
I apologize. Sorry.
Okay, Carol?
Aye.
Okay. Good. It passes 5-0. And Jody, can you explain the next steps to Mr. Polito, please?
Sure. So after this, the recommendation of the Barrio Historic Zone Advisory Board and the recommendation of the Plans Review Subcommittee, that's this subcommittee, are forwarded to the Director of Planning and Development Services. He will issue a decision letter. Once that decision letter is issued, there'll be an appeal period for 14 days. You can appeal as the owner's representative, the owner can appeal. Barrio Historico could appeal, or the Plans Review Subcommittee can appeal. It can't just be one person from those committees that can appeal. They actually would have to have a special meeting to agree to appeal. You would have to appeal during that 14 days, and there's a fee associated with it. You would not be able to get a permit during that appeal period, and the appeal would go to mayor and council for approval. They either uphold the appeal or not. If there is no appeal, then after the 14-day period, you can finish along with your permit and get that issued.
Okay,
Good, thank you. Good luck with the project.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, let's move on to item 4, which is National Register of Historic Places nominations. The first one is 4A, Wilshire Heights, and east of South Craycroft Road between Broadway Boulevard and 22nd Street. It's nominated under National Register criteria A and C. And the period of significance is 1947 to 1972. And Jody, you said the preparer is not here, which is Demi Klinko, do you want to give us a summary and let us know what you exactly want from us? Because you have to get a letter to HSRC today on this, right? Or an email?
I do. So consistent, I don't know how many of you have were on the board previously when we reviewed a National Register nomination, but then the National Register nomination is submitted within our jurisdiction. The State Historic Preservation Office asks for comments from us on the National Register nomination. So we provide those, and then they are read into the record at the Historic Sites Review Committee when they meet, when they're actually meeting tomorrow, which is why I have a quick turnaround time on this. So this is a draft one. I'll give you kind of the summary of it, and it's from his nomination, but Wilshire Heights is a district of 138 residences and one site located in East Central Tucson, east of South Craycroft Road between Broadway Boulevard and 22nd Street. Subdivided in 1947, Wilshire Heights is a significant middle-class neighborhood that demonstrates 1948 through 1972 community growth patterns and architectural styles from the peak of Tucson's post-World War II residential subdivision development era that is expressed in the physical layout and design of the neighborhood. The district is defined by broad curving roadways that flow and meander through the flat desert geography. The streets are flanked by ranch houses and yards with mature desert and imported vegetation. During the period of significance, 1947 to 1972, there was limited mass transit serving the suburban outskirts of the city. As a result, ownership of an automobile was essential for living in Wilshire Heights, and the neighborhood design catered to automotive culture, which is reflected in the prevalence of wide streets, carports, and garages. The district includes a park on the northern edge that was developed in conjunction with the residential properties. The district is eligible under National Register Criterion A. Property is associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of our history, community development, and planning. And Criterion C, property embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction, or represents the work of a master, or possesses high artistic values, or represents a significant and distinguishable entity whose components lack individual distinction architecture. Of the 138 residents and one site, 116 residents and one park site are considered to be contributing properties. 22 of the residences are considered to be non-contributors because of alterations to facades, walls, and age. So basically, I'm looking for comments if you have concerns, or if there were errors in information that you saw when you read through the nomination, or any comments that you may have. If you support it, that's great. And how you feel about this, and then that's information that I'll pass along to SHPO. Terry, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Who would like to begin?
I mean, I will. I was compelled by it. I'm in support of it. It seemed well written and complete to me. So I don't really have any notable comments. Wasn't quite sure how critical I should be of it, or if I could read through it again and kind of think of suggestions. I didn't really look at it that way.
Yeah, I think that it's helpful if we are as thorough as we can be, because HSRC will definitely be, everything down to editorial things, inconsistencies in the presentation, and so forth. So, but in general, you think it's justified, and I mean, do you feel the character defining features of the contributing properties are called out?
Yeah, the properties, everything is well described, the history. Yeah. This was Mr. Klinko who prepared this, is that right? He just wasn't able to be here today?
Yeah, he wasn't able to be here today, but Jody let him know.
Yeah.
And it's not a requirement that they're here. they're welcome to come.
Yeah.
This is Carol. I thought it was well prepared as well. And, you know, when you're dealing with a lot of the post-war properties, and I know there were issues in Phoenix because there were so many of them. This one seemed somewhat distinctive to me because of the setting. So I really thought it was, I thought it was very good. So,
Okay. Jan? Jan, are you there?
She's on. Jan, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was looking at the packet some more and I lost my unmute. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to what Savannah and Carol have said. I mean, I again wasn't sure of, you know, the level of scrutiny, so I did not review it with fine tooth comb. But in terms of the making the case for nomination and the documentation and everything, I support it and think it's well written.
Okay, Joel?
Yeah, no, I like it too, and I know that neighborhood well. I grew up in that neighborhood with friends of mine, and as a sort of mid-century modern place, I support this application a lot.
Okay. I would just say that it can use a good edit. There's some terms that I was confused by, but I don't need to bring those up in this letter. I think all we need to say is that possibly some editing, but I feel I support it as well.
Okay.
And what would you like us to make a motion?
Yeah, you can make a motion to make it official, and I'll put the letter together. But yeah, you can make a motion.
So basically the points are that it's that we support the nomination. What other points do we want to raise?
It may need some editing.
Mm-hmm. Or recommend.
Yeah.
Recommend some editing. We want to say something, one of the more about, it seems to be worthy of nomination, even though there's so many post-war neighborhoods. What was that? You felt it was distinctive, Carol? What was your comment?
I just thought the kind of the setting of it was a little bit different than a lot of them that you see. So I don't know. And I just thought it was a good nomination.
So I will add that I think in 2015, the city of Tucson under Jonathan Mabry did a survey of the post-World War II neighborhoods, and they divided them up between the highest priority, high priority, and priority. And Wilshire Heights is number 10 out of 11 on the highest priority list. So it is something going along with what Carol is saying. It's, a distinct neighborhood, and it was deemed as such through a survey process too for designation. So.
Yeah. Is that something worth mentioning, or you can just add that to it?
Yeah, I'll add that to the letter.
Okay, who would like to make a motion then? Covering these points.
I'll do it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, on the matter of Wilshire Heights, National Register of Historic Places nomination draft. We support the application for this distinct World War II neighborhood worthy of nomination, especially due to its unique setting, and recommend one more editing round.
Sounds good. Is there a second? Second, anyone?
I'll second, Jan.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Terry votes aye. Carol,
Aye.
Savannah,
Aye.
Joel,
Yes,
and Jan.
Aye.
Great, thank you, thank you. Okay. Is that clear enough for a quick note later?
It
Jody?
is. It is. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to item 4B, which is the El Dorado Lodge. This is at 6400 East El Dorado Circle, being nominated under National Register Criteria A and C with a period of significance from 1936 to 1972. And I do think we have Ms. Karen Young and Mr. John Lacey here. But let's have Jody. Jody, you want to give some background on this quickly?
Yeah, sure. So El Dorado Lodge, AKA Stone Ashley and Mountain Oyster Club, is eligible under Criterion A in the area of significance of ethnic heritage. With its opening in 1949, the lodge was one of two of the earliest guest lodges, hotels to play a critical role and unique role in the development of the resort experience for Jewish tourists and later Jewish residents in Tucson, Arizona. The level of significance is high due to its early intention to attract and cater to Jewish tourists exclusively, providing one of the finest Southwestern venues for 3 decades and contributing to the founding of one of the strongest Jewish communities in the West. El Dorado Lodge is eligible under Criterion C in the area of architecture. The period of substantial local and national significance was from 1936 to 1972, spanning the years from its original design and opening as Stone Ashley, a private residence, through its conversion to a guest lodge hotel in 1949, renamed and repurposed as the El Dorado Lodge, which closed in 1972. The level of significance is high due to its outstanding Italian Renaissance architectural and complementary landscape designed by renowned New York architect Grosvenor, Atterbury. Karen, if you know how to pronounce it, then you can.
It's Grosvenor Atterbury. You did it.
Thank you.
Okay, so go ahead.
No, go ahead. That was just to let you know that was the summary.
Okay, so it's nominated under C and under A.
Correct.
Right, for sort of the social history portion of community development, the community and so on.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I think probably to keep things moving, we can ask any questions you might have of the preparers. Does that work?
It works. It works for me.
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Yeah, and I'm here also.
Great, thank you. Who would like to begin with questions?
This is Jan. Can you just explain the alterations just very briefly there? Or show they're kind of described, but if you could just summarize those.
I'd be glad to do that if John.
Yeah, that's fine, Karen, go ahead.
The original building was, as was described, was built for Florence Pons as a second home in 1936, completed. And it stands today as it originally did, with the same configuration. There haven't been any external changes to the building, or internally maybe some movement of minor issues like handicap accessible bathrooms, et cetera, that are required. The structure was built, I have a summary paragraph if you want me to describe it, but it's built out of native fieldstone and hand-hewn brick, and the exterior has never been altered. There's a great deal of, it was originally on over 300 acres of desert, and now the parcel is about 4 acres. The original landscaping was designed by Atterbury's group from New York to complement the Italian Renaissance architecture. So it included things like cypress. There are 50 cypress trees that line the driveway, things that would not normally have been found in the desert, but still exist today. So there have really been very few alterations to the structure itself. There were some additions when it became a lodge. The Bernard Friedman, the architect from Tucson, was employed to build a group of casitas, 80 casitas, to house guests coming in from other parts of the country. And when the lodge closed in the early 70s, and it was purchased by another group, the casitas were destroyed. So they no longer exist there, but they weren't part of the contributing structure. There are two buildings.
And just to be clear, Karen, when the lodge was built too, a third floor was added to the original Stone Ashley, and Bernie Friedman was the architect that did that.
All in the same vernacular. The architecture is, was maintained by Mr. Friedman.
Yes.
There are two more contributing buildings on the property. One is the bathhouse that was built by Atterbury adjacent to the swimming pool. The swimming pool was covered when it became, when it was sold in the 70s, it became a commercial property because it was no longer appropriate to have a swimming pool. And there's another building called we have named it the B building, and that was designed by Mr. Friedman as well. Added on, it had several restaurants in it. It still exists today and is used for offices. I believe that's, pretty much my description of it. I'll be glad to read you anything out of the nomination form if it would be, clarify any questions you have.
And who's next?
Well, just on the lines of the alterations, the dining room areas was pretty significantly altered, right? The ones with the big square windows. When was that done?
There is the two dining room areas that were originally designed still exist in the form that they did originally. There was a porch that went along one of the dining rooms, and they put the windows into the porch eventually so that it could be used for dining and keep the heat out. And the same thing with the back. The eastern side was a long porch with the arches that are still there, and the arches were filled in with glass, and it became a area for dining when it was the lodge.
Got it.
So
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Others? Jan, did you finish your questions on this one?
Yeah, the only other thing that was mentioned, and I couldn't quite track it down on the other materials, was when the HVAC was changed out more recently at one of the ownership turnovers, or.
Well, the
Was-
original
was-
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I wasn't sure if that was external or all internal.
The original HVAC was a very unique design by Atterbury because he'd never designed anything for the desert before. It incorporated a cool tower that was out in the garden, and it circulated water in a channel across the back lawn into the cool tower, and that created the HVAC system for cooling the building. And obviously that didn't last to this day. So I believe that probably in the 70s, when it was commercially purchased, that it probably was altered at that time possibly before that.
So in terms of a new system, is it somewhere external on the building or near the building or?
Yeah,
Don?
the existing HVAC system is more the traditional air conditioning. There's several units throughout the building to provide the cooling. But that original system out in the what used to be the garden is gone, although we do have a lot of the existing wrought iron work in storage. But we also have the old cascading water coming down on the west side of that little patio.
So you said you had some of the original wrought iron from that cooling tower, like
we
some
do.
of it.
We do.
Is the plan to recreate it at some point? Because that would be really cool.
You know, we have it, and that has been discussed. I think that it probably wouldn't be recreated as an actual air conditioning system, but I agree it would be fun to put that back out there.
The fountain that was is still intact as well, so but wouldn't be that hard to do. There are a lot of wrought iron features on the building and around it that, you know, were original that still exist. I don't know of any of the other pieces that have been removed.
And actually, my favorite is the door, the front door to the building. That remains virtually as it was when it was used by Florence Pond.
The gate with the.
Yeah,
is it-
you know, not the gate, but the front door itself. There's an image of that in the materials.
Okay, Joel?
Oh, I see.
Oh, so on, okay.
Hello, did you call me?
Yeah, well, let's have Savannah finish. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm done. I was just I mean I appreciate all the imagery, the history. There's a lot of really great detailing elements that are left. Definitely compelling. So that's it. I'm done. You can go, Joel.
Go ahead, Joel.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, I apologize. I'm out of town right now. And I need to understand exactly. This building is located essentially on Wilmot Road, just north of Speedway. Am I correct about that?
Well, you remember where Charles Restaurant used to be?
Yeah,
That's the building.
that's it. Got it. I thought that's what we're talking about. And I appreciate the application. I just wanted to make sure I was remembering the right location and things. So I appreciate it very much. Thanks.
Okay, Carol?
I like Savannah had some questions and I think it's a wonderful building. Thank you for putting this forward. And I'm not sure, and maybe I missed it in the nomination, what the use, adaptive reuse of this will be, or the continued use of it. But if it will be at all a public space, if there could be some sort of history or documentation or something concerning the tower, which I thought was the cooling tower, was a really interesting engineering sort of thing for its time. And I guess that was the only thing that I had.
Yeah, it was purchased in 2003 by the Mountain Oyster Club and continues to be used. The club continues to operate.
Okay.
The only public, there is a fairly popular Western art show that occurs annually, and a portion of that is open to the public with member invitation.
Anything else, Carol?
Yes, thank you. If there's any means or possibility for, providing, I don't know if there's, how much you have in terms of the history or documentation on the cooling tower, but I do think that would be very interesting to document and maybe have a small sort of a little exhibit or something there on it.
Yeah, I agree that maybe we can find someone at the university who wants to put a doctoral thesis on.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
I just have a couple things. There's a lot going on with this building because there's, many sort of resources that are part of the nomination. I think you should anticipate some questions about, possibly suggestions about reorganizing or just organizing a little bit differently so that people can follow the discussion better and linking the photographs to the different parts of the building and so on, if that makes sense. And one thing I like to see in these nominations is when there are quite a few building sites or structures involved, list them in a table with the date of construction associated with that, and whether or not they're contributing, and assign a photo. I mean, that's one thing you could do, and be sure your resource counts match those listed earlier in the nomination. There's a lot of material that you had to carry through because of the complexity of it. I commend you for that. There's a lot going on. And then you get really close to the material and you don't necessarily see those points, right? So, but I would suggest that we do support the nomination and with these other points that were raised here, correct? Commissioner?
I'm certainly in support of the nomination.
Yes, this Jan.
Yes.
Okay, so and who would like to make a motion on this one so that we can help them out, help Jody out with the recommendation letter for tomorrow? And I'll jump in. Savannah, would you like to do it again?
Sure, I'm happy to. Similar to the last, we're just before I make the motion, just want to make sure we're on the same page that we support the application. And we recommend, again, some round of editing, and maybe let me make some notes here. An exhibit, you said, I think it was Carol, about the cooling system originally.
But see, I don't know why that would be. I mean, it's just, you wouldn't talk about the adaptive reuse of the building in a nomination. I think if you wanted to mention that, really call out that as character defining feature or something really significant. I mean, what do you think, Jody?
I didn't mean that to be necessarily, I mean, the nomination talks about it, but that was just an aside for, future.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
I didn't mean for that to be, part of there is a discussion in the nomination and I'll cover it, but yeah, that was something in addition. So sorry to confuse people.
And my point, Savannah, was simply that to ensure that the different resource counts and photographs are, everything, just to go over it again to be sure that all the numbers are consistent. And the photos are linked to where they can better explain the building. You know, maybe an aerial photo may help understand where everything's located, because without a really clear map with things noted, it's tough to follow something complex like this.
Got it. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything about the cooling system, ask for anything more there, but I'll say something about a site plan or aerial noted with locations and clarifying dates of all the resources, as well as organizing and I don't know what I wrote here at and making sure that the photos are linked to the text.
Yeah, and I would say make sure resource counts match those listed throughout, you know, that it's consistently.
Sorry, Tara, it's just hard to hear you. I don't know why. So resources, what?
The better. Make sure that the resource counts are consistently referenced, or you have the same count throughout. Yeah, can you hear me better now, Savannah?
I can, yes, thank you.
I understand what you're saying.
Great, thanks. Okay, is that
Okay.
want to add before Savannah gives it a go?
Okay, we need a second on that, Terry.
Was that your motion, Savannah?
No, I was actually just preparing. I
Okay,
apologize.
okay.
All right, so on the matter of El Dorado Lodge, a nomination for National Register of Historic Places, we support the application and appreciate the effort and detail that exists in this version. We do, however, recommend a route of editing and including a site plan or aerial photo noted with locations to clarify dates of the buildings, to make sure that the resource counts are consistently referenced and that photos are linked to the text and narrative.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Carol. I'll second it.
Great, thank you. Is there further discussion? Okay, I'll call the roll for the vote. Terry votes aye. Carol?
Aye.
Savannah?
Aye.
Joel?
Yes,
Jan?
Aye.
Great, and it passes 5-0, and good luck, and thank you for both being on to answer questions today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all. We appreciate it.
Sure, and Jody, do you have any, did that make sense?
Yes, that made sense.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. All right,
Thank you.
sure. Let's move on to item 5, which is update on city outreach to property owners in historic districts regarding potential impacts of code changes. And Jody, how do you want to handle that today? I was hoping you'd be able to send us the draft of your the cover letter that explained the context. When you weren't able to get to that, maybe?
Oh, I apologize. I didn't realize that's what you were looking for me to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Sorry, I don't think I wasn't clear on that.
yeah, it was several times mentioned in the LAR.
Several times mentioned doing a cover letter. I wasn't aware that I
Yeah, well,
was
I think
sending a cover
I
letter.
was hoping that we could see it, because that's my major concern. I think it's great reminding, people of the secretary standards and the ones, that are applicable to the situation. That you said you took out the archaeology ones that weren't relevant and so on. But without knowing why they're getting this, it will make that was the whole point of the commission's concern. And I understand that you have to be delicate about it because, we can't be prescriptive, but, you can just remind people that sometimes things change in code that are contrary to the National Register, to the Secretary standards, and they,
They can,
what's at risk is them losing their tax credit status if they make inappropriate changes. I mean, can you say that much?
Yeah, I mean, that is the risk, and I tell people that all the time. I thought when we were coming back, it was for you to provide comments on the initial handout that I did. It wasn't clear that you were looking to also review the letter or the language in the letter.
Yeah, that's my request. Sorry. I mean, I could point that out, but I mean, I went on and on about that last time because to me, that's the big, why are we doing it? Why are they opening an envelope saying what the heck, or looking online? Why do we hear about this? And, it's kind of I think owners know that if they make certain changes that are different, maybe they have some vague sense of that, but they may feel that they have the green light because city code has changed, allowing this kind of thing. So they have to understand why it's still not possible. So that's just, those are my 2 cents. Other people, we did receive the material from Jody, and we should have had time to think about it over the last few weeks.
I mean, I remember reviewing it last week and thinking it was excellent and great. And I just, I think similar to Terry, just was looking for the context, to contextualize a little bit, to understand, what it's for, who it's for, and why. But I thought that the 1 page seemed good to me as is. I didn't have anything on that.
Yeah, and then I think you had asked Jody last time to, she had explained sort of how it was going to be disseminated. We all thought it was a good idea to have the points from the Secretary Standards. It's like a separate thing that you would stick in your junk drawer, that look at, or not junk drawer, you know what I mean? Like in an important place in your house that you could look at it and refer to it. Maybe put it with your files. So what did others think? Joel, Carol, Jan?
This is Jan. Yeah, I think it would be helpful to just know a little more about how this was being teed up to homeowners, and that letter suggestion of Terry's, I think would basically just provide the context or lead into why the city is informing homeowners of this.
Okay, Joel?
I think, it looks good. Again, the context would be great, why people are getting this. And the only thing is there is no, and maybe this is totally unnecessary, but I didn't know if maybe there should be just a small comment concerning archaeology, because some of the districts really, if people are doing subsurface kinds of things, just maybe a footnote to who to contact if there's any issues or something of that sort. I don't know, and maybe it's not necessary, but that did occur to me. We do have some districts, pretty sensitive archaeological areas.
Well, you mentioned something about taking that one out last time. Did Chippo recommend that to you, Jody?
No, I took it out because it is primarily focused on, work that you're doing on the house, and maintaining your contributing status. So I removed from the standards information about the archaeology. I'm happy to put something in for, like Carol is suggesting, a contact if there's any issues with archaeology, or you encounter an artifact or something like that, I can make room for that on here. That's fine.
Maybe that could be in the letter, the context letter, you know, where you actually talk about what specifically this is addressing, and that it does not, you know, it does not address that, but that if you have concerns, blah, 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 or something or other.
Yeah, I like that idea.
All right.
I can put that in the letter. That's fine.
Yeah, and this is Joel, I agree with the comments that have been made. And I haven't quite gotten my head around this next comment, but maybe some of the mention of, you know, some of the restrictions that might come along with such a designation, you know, would be a fair balancing comment. So if you understand what I'm saying.
I don't actually.
Okay, so here's what I mean. I'll tell you what, I'll write it. I'll write it in an email to you, okay? And because I haven't myself gotten my head around what I'm thinking of yet. But so let me try to write it in an email, and I'll get it to you by the end of the week, okay?
Well, would it be more like explaining why homeowners are getting this? You know, their houses are all contributors for various reasons, and sometimes code changes happen. And Jody, can you mention in particular these specific code changes and how it might affect their homes?
Sure. I mean, they're called out on this, that would also go out with it, but yes.
Yeah, and so kind of link it to that and say, you know, basically it's maybe congratulate them somehow for, you know, encourage them to maintain the contributing status of their home or whatever. I mean, I know you have to be careful because it can't be made to sound like it's restricting them from doing anything in the code. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And just for clarification on Joel's point, Joel, this is really geared more towards the people who are just within the National Register districts like Sam Hughes or Rincon Heights or Harold Bell Wright. It's not that the properties within the HPZs have restrictions because they're locally listed. So they have to go through a review process. They have to be consistent with the design guidelines for that particular HPZ. But within the National Register historic districts, they're, for all intents and purposes, an honorary designation. So while we want people to maintain their contributing status, and we're encouraging them to maintain their contributing status, this letter is meant to kind of inform them so they don't inadvertently do something that is going to jeopardize that. But in reality, if they do that with their full knowledge, they're welcome to do that. There's no restrictions. They could tear down their house because there's no restrictions in a National Register district.
Right. And maybe say that, you know.
Yeah, fair, good.
Yeah, and explain.
To tell you the frank truth, I did not understand that. And so that's maybe why I was trying to get my head around it. So I appreciate that comment very much.
Did that help though? That's so you understand now?
Yes, I appreciate it.
No worries.
Good deal.
Yeah, that could even be sort of an intro sentence, you know, it's somewhere in your letter. And what about, you know, some of the districts that are also HPZ, they're overlapped.
The NPZs are also in that boat where there's restrictions on what they can do. You know, so this would go, I mean, I can mention, you know, if you're in an NPZ or HPZ, there's already restrictions, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, we just want to make you aware for properties that are solely located within a National Register historic district.
Yeah, and can you say that, you know, you're in at risk of losing if you're in the tax credit program, you know, and then you were gonna refer to, if you have questions about that, contact the State Historic Preservation Office. You could even give them the general number, because it seems like that, you know, sometimes the tax credit person changes, you know. You'd mentioned that last time that you would say something about that maybe.
Well, and I have emails. SHPO actually prefers, they has sent out a note. So at the very top of this right here, it's, you know, for properties participating, for properties not participating. So if there's concerns that they may have overstepped already and they're gonna be a non-contributing property, these are the two entities that you talk to right here. They've already sussed that out within their.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. Any other comments?
This is actually sort of a courtesy thing for them, a tool, I guess, you know, a thumbnail kind of thing to help them maintain their home and keep their status and their tax rate.
Correct.
It's a positive thing for them, not a, you know, not a stick.
Yes, correct.
Exactly. And they, you know, people may be confused, like, you know, they could, because certain things are now allowed in code that have to do with setbacks and so on, and carports and all that in the front, what that means for them. I mean, they could choose to do that if they wish, but this is what would happen if they did, or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because this is a good thing for them to have as a reference and not have to go and try to suss out the secretary standards and what they mean for them. You know, so but
I
I
guess
know,
there's, and I can't remember if you put a reference to the standards, you know, people could get a copy of that, you know, if they had, you know, or where they could get a copy online.
Okay, I can put on there, even though after it says excerpts from the U.S. Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, I can put a link so they can get the full.
yeah, the full standards are can be found here.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
But you've sort of pulled out the ones that relate specifically to their homes and sort of all that. I mean, the building itself. Okay. Anyone else? I mean, would we want to see what that letter just for our reference? Because I think it sounds like it's really shaping up. The ideas are really good.
I don't know. I don't feel that I need to see it. You know, I trust Jody's ability to write that, but other members may want to see it.
And it would be nice if it does, you know, depending on how it affects the schedule. So I'm good either way, but.
Jody, are you amenable to that? I mean, is this something, I know you're really busy with a lot of other things. So what's your time frame for getting this out, do you think? With all the other things you have on your plate?
Well, next Wednesday I go on vacation for a week. So I'm gonna. Today I actually am not at work either, but I'm here at work.
No, we appreciate doing that.
No,
But
no worries. I could probably have time to put something together maybe tomorrow or Monday before I leave, and I can email it out. I will shoot for that. I can't guarantee that, but I will
no,
shoot.
don't stress if you can't, because I think that it's better that you feel comfortable with it, and everybody deserves a vacation or days off when they don't have to work. So, and you know, it's like you're working toward getting this out. I mean, probably sometime this summer you'll get this out, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't happen, you know, I would say the beginning of August. I mean, I'm only gone for a week, so I can probably get something if you guys want to review it. That's fine. I can get I will work to get that out, and once you've had comments on it, then I can send this out. Because with just some little tweaks, I think that the handout thing is ready to go. It's just the letter that you're looking to review.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't frankly think that we need to have a motion on it or anything like that. I think just if we see, I mean, you could send it to us, and would it be inappropriate for us to comment if we had, you know, if we had questions about the letter or whatever?
Oh, no. I mean, if we can do it offline, I can email everybody and then you can just provide feedback that way.
Yeah, and if we have, I mean, you can put it on the next agenda if you just want to do anything with it then, or, I mean, and plus I won't be on the next meeting, so it probably won't be the next meeting. Maybe following one, or what do you think? Just in case.
Why don't we then, if you're not going to be in the next one, I can get it out and then we can just for sure have it on the 10th. And then
Yeah.
if everybody's agreeable on the 10th, we can send it out from our office by the 14th, because
Yeah.
everybody takes Friday off.
Yeah, let's do that, because that's very timely, I think.
Okay. That'll give me time to get the letter out to y'all, give you time to review it, and then we can have an open discussion forum, whatever, on the 10th.
Yep. Okay, is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Good. And thanks for all that, Jody.
Sure.
And I appreciate you working with us on this. Okay, so let's move on to item 6, which is Task Force and Inclusivity Report Recommendations. 6A is discussion on best practices for naming of city and county owned physical assets. No report today, but I'd really like to shoot for sometime later in August. You know, the second meeting. Where are we here? The 10th and the 24th. One of those probably the more realistically.
Terry, I can't hear you.
More realistically, the 24th. But
I am going to be gone from August 19th to September 11.
8/19 to 9/11, Carol gone.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be available for a meeting at that time.
But if possible, well, I'm just going to do my best on it. The problem is, you know, I'm having surgery on the late this month. Yeah, and I don't know how I'm going to be doing. And right now, I don't even know if they're going to let me have surgery on the 26th. So I'm kind of stressed about that because I don't know what's happening with my life. Okay, we'll just keep, you know, and I'd like to, well, I'll just mention it here, but Ricky is probably going to come back on in August. But I think we could, Carol, you and Ricky and I could work on, you could look at revisions that I make, you know, because my goal was to recast that letter, recast it so that it was just some helpful points. And, you know, back when the county had comments on it, it was, you know, it was basically, you know, to say to the governing bodies, the elected officials, that we know that these things are their decisions, but we'd like to just offer some best practices, maybe things we've been thinking about that came out of our Task Force on Inclusivity report. And, you know, that's, I think, all kind of linked. So, okay, any questions on that?
Yeah, I think I can certainly take a look at it. I know that once I'm gone, I've been checking. I don't know that I would be able to have any connectivity.
Well, you're going to be in Europe, so right. So
I'm gonna be in Morocco.
right, in North Africa.
you
So,
know, So it's kind of sketchy, I guess, in
Yeah.
terms, yeah.
well, we've waited this long and we've got all sorts of other things going on commission wide.
So, okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
so let's just, I haven't stopped
Or
thinking.
people after maybe September, if that's okay with people, you know.
Well, yeah, and I know that the earliest that Ricky finds out about her schedule is early August. And so that's why we would vote to put her back on plans review. She wants to be back on, but that our full commission meeting is August 9th. So it would be, she would be available for meetings, for plans review meetings.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
but you're still gonna be recovering, so,
Well, yeah, and I don't know how much time between now and then with, the other things we're working on. Like I said, I just
yeah.
don't
Okay.
have time. So,
Okay.
okay, so let's move on then to item 7, which is current issue for information discussion. 7A is minor reviews. What do you have for us? Is Michael here?
Michael is here.
I am here, Madam Chair.
Right.
So I sent out I believe the last meeting, Jody updated you on the minor reviews that we did. After that, we have not done any, but I do have 3 minor reviews that I sent out the request for availability. The 3 minor reviews that we have that are ready. 825 North 2nd Avenue. That's a roof shingle in West University. I have 417 East 17th Street, which is installation of solar panel in Amery Park. And lastly, I have 349 South Convent, which is just installation of an electrical box in the barrio. So I am asking for volunteers to assist with those reviews. I am currently looking at either doing them on Monday or Tuesday, whatever your availability is on those days. I can work with you on the time. I have also sent the same request to the various advisory board members to ask for volunteers. I believe I have a volunteer for Barrio, have a volunteer for Amery Park, and also a volunteer for West University. So I'm just waiting for somebody from the plans review to help us out.
Can anyone help out with those?
Michael, this is Joel. Yeah, I can help out with any one of those after Tuesday, after this coming Tuesday.
Okay.
Can anyone do it on the Monday or Tuesday, as Michael mentioned?
Well, I can do it Tuesday, the 18th.
Okay. Okay. Would you prefer the morning or afternoon?
No preference.
And would you do in person or virtually?
I'd like to do it in person. And Michael, I'll just email you, okay? And I'll respond if it's after Tuesday, if it's on or after Tuesday 18th, I'll volunteer to do whatever you need.
We can do Tuesday.
Okay.
I have 3 districts. I have West University, I have Amery Park, I have the Barrow. So which one are you opting for? You want to do all of them, or which one are you opting for?
I'll do all of them.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll email you, and I apologize. I've been on vacation. I just haven't got that done yet. So I'll be back though Monday, the 17th. So I'll be ready to go the 18th.
Okay, so I can set all of them up for Tuesday the 18th.
Correct.
Thank you, Joel.
Did you say any time was good? You want me to do that in the morning?
Yeah, set it up for the morning. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Joe. We'll do.
Thanks.
And while when's our next PRS meeting? Is that the
27.
27th?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
I cannot make that meeting,
Okay.
just FYI.
And that's you, Savannah?
Yeah.
And I can't either because that's the day after, I'll just be getting out of the hospital that day if I have on the 22nd. So Tina, no, so that means everyone else would have to be on.
My schedule's uncertain. I'm still traveling. Not always where I have a good connection.
Yeah, so what shall we do, Jody? Well, let's get through these other things and then we'll talk about that under item 9. Okay, anything else on minor reviews, Michael?
No, Madam Chair, that's all I got for upcoming.
Okay, 7B is appeals.
Not at this point in time.
7C zoning violations.
It's the same status quo. We continue to work with Rick to bring violators either to the review board or for them to comply.
Okay. And are we still waiting for that one to be heard as a full case?
Yes.
Okay. Item 7D is process issues. Does anyone want to raise anything?
I don't need to raise an issue. I just wanted to express appreciation for the way that we do things and the way that our agendas are structured. I just went through my second in-person experience with Bisbee's review board, in which each item is paused after presentation for public comment, and it's a difficult way of organizing it. So I appreciate the way that we do it here. It's very efficient, I feel like, and on task. So.
Oh, great. We have Jody to thank for those our tight agendas. It's a team. Yes, thank you, Jody.
No worries.
Yeah, and I just wanted to raise that I was sort of, I don't know why I was put off by that first case in the barrio. I mean, was it just because that poor guy didn't expect to have to give the presentation and he wasn't familiar with it?
I think so.
Seemed like the case.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it made it come off kind of lame, I guess, for lack of a better description.
Yeah. It was one of those situations where you kind of had to go with, you know, how to get the points brought up and raised because he wasn't used to doing it. Didn't know about sharing the plans and presenting. So he probably was told at the last minute that he had to do it. So he wasn't used to that. So anyway, anyone else? Jody or Michael?
No, I don't have anything from my end.
Neither do I.
And we just had that weirdness with the link, and that's not your fault, Jody. Thanks for responding so quickly with sending us a new one.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think Zoom doesn't like me. And it occasionally sends out the error messages. I had checked that before. I'm now in the habit because I had some before. So I check before I post and put it into the agenda. So it happened between when I put out the agenda and now, which is kind of a bummer.
Speaking of links, I didn't hear anybody else mention it yesterday, but when I followed the link that was supposed to be for all the minutes, I just went to like a stock page from, I think, the new website with no links to anything else. And I think it went to a page that just had the full commission agenda, and that was it. And there was no way from there to access. And I wasn't sure with the new website kind of how things were structured.
So in its infinite wisdom, the city updated the webpage. They didn't
Right.
do any forwarding things on the old web pages to go to the new pages. The one that I've noticed, I don't know what page you were looking at, but the city clerk's page actually kind of stayed the same. Their web address stayed the same. I didn't have to update that link.
Well,
The
it
link
was,
that
it was a
came-
link that said, follow this link to see all the current, the LARs for the different subcommittees. And it was just not going there.
Yeah, and I apologize because it was fine. Because I'm the one that included that, but I
Oh,
think,
that's weird. Yeah, because I tried several times. It wasn't just,
Oh.
okay, I'll try again.
Yeah, I
Well,
didn't,
Maybe it's
Yeah.
better today.
I didn't have any problems with it. Like I said, for me, the city clerk page stayed the same. So even though it looks different, their email address was the same. So I just went there and I can
Huh,
find it. It's all still
okay.
there. It's just, I never had to do, because I have saved addresses, right? Like, and
Right.
theirs was always the same for me. I never had to do anything with them.
but
Okay.
what I'm gonna do, Jan, thank you for bringing that up.
I'll
because,
try it right now again and see.
Let me see, TM check. Link. Full agenda, full commission agenda. Right, and then if anyone else has any good luck with that or learn something else, take a look at that. I actually go back to those a lot, so I probably would be, that it happened since I did the last LAR write-up.
Oh, now I'm getting a page not found message when I follow that link.
Oh, so
And
this
then
is,
go-
oh,
yeah.
sorry. This is,
And
the
then it
city-
says go back to the home page, which is just like City of Tucson.
So that's the boards, committees, and commissions. So click on
Yeah.
that. That
yeah,
does
so
it.
this is how I get there. And
Oh,
then I
Jesus.
always just, yeah.
Well,
And
can't you just give us a link to where we want to go?
Well, that was the whole point. So what should we have to do is go down to historical commission. That's how I got that link originally.
Okay, I still don't see it. I'm just on
Okay,
City
so
of
look at the
Tucson.
top. If you go, okay. If,
Go to departments.
no, so right here, the historical commission, that's the stuff that's the current LAR and all that for the. full-
Right, but I don't, there's nothing that links me to that page from going from yesterday's agenda. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so then if we go down to past LARs, you go to the different subcommittees.
Right. I know that once I'm there. The problem is, like it says from yesterday, good morning, here's the attached packet. If you cannot access, see,
Oh.
so then I access the meeting and then it says on the agenda, access posted minutes here. And you hit that link and you go to page not found. Then it says go back to the home page.
Oh, so that.
So
link-
that link is not working. That's what I'm trying to say.
And so it probably, if you look up where the two arrows are going different directions, the second line, that should be the link, correct? And you still have to
Okay.
look down underneath to find the particular subcommittee you want.
No, it doesn't go anywhere. If I
Okay.
hit where it says ask on the email that came out, it has a link from Amari and it goes to page not found.
Okay, well, I will check all those links and find out. Oh, boy.
I know once I'm on the right page, how to find it. It's getting there. And yeah,
Wouldn't it
especially with
be-
the changes.
Yeah, wouldn't it be that second line that you had highlighted before, Jody? The one, the tucsonaz.gov departments, clerks, boards, committee, commissions, boards equals 61. Wouldn't that be the link that has to be in there?
Yeah, I'm just sending that.
It
to
does
Jan.
the same thing. I just did it from the agenda too, and I got page not found. So maybe those were just faulty links yesterday.
I just sent you that one that's up there. So that should take you right to this page that's showing you on
Okay,
the screen. So hopefully that works.
okay, I'll try it.
And
Yeah,
if-
this is different. Yeah, that's different than the other links. Yeah, okay.
This wasn't updated. I'm sorry, I didn't think of it because
It
I
was
was so,
incomplete, I think, or something. Yeah.
well, and that happens, and I don't know. I
Yeah.
was frustrated that she hadn't sent the agenda out to anyone until Tuesday morning. And then
Thank
Jody,
you.
yeah, and Jody, I got into it with her because I said, why aren't you, because remember you and Linda both emailed me and said, where's the agenda? And then I said, I asked you to send it to all the staff and here's their addresses, their email addresses. And then I got a call from Amari's supervisor saying, we don't do this. I said, yes, you do. I said, and oh, maybe it was all about, you know, I added the South Tucson guy. And then she said to me, can Carlos Lozano, being the representative from South Tucson, do it? I said, no. I said, when you have the packet ready, and she goes, well, the packet's up there with the agenda. I said, no, it's not. Only the agenda's up there, unless I'm crazy and maybe the packet is there. But anyway, it's a constant thing with them. I said, basically, you guys, you know, Jody Brown over in Historic Preservation does all her stuff for plans review, and it miraculously works when we get information. And she does it a week in advance. You know, and I said, for full commission, I do the agenda, I do the packet, I give you all the stuff. Like, how hard is it? So anyway, I tried to be very calm. I was, but I was like, you know, I don't want to have to send that out myself when it's just, she could basically copy staff on what she sends to the commission, right? Why is that such a hard thing? Anyway, just venting, sorry. All right, no other review process issues. All right, let's go to item 8, summary of public comments. Did we receive any by the deadline? Jody would have given them to us if we had them, right?
Yeah, we did not receive any public comments.
Okay, item 9 is future agenda items for upcoming meetings. So the next meeting is the 27th. So Jan, you don't know if you can be on. I mean, when would you do that?
I'm sorry, but I'm kind of living day by day right now.
Okay. So Jody, what do you suggest we do?
Is there a better day? Sounds like, so Savannah said she wasn't available on the 27th, right? And Jan's maybe not, and you maybe not.
I
Do we
don't
want
think,
to?
I don't even think we have many cases that will be ready for that 27. So,
No, we actually have a full agenda.
oh, okay.
I could do a different day that week, Jody, and could you extend the calendar event out? And that was the problem because my schedule looked open and something got scheduled. So
Sorry, today.
that's okay.
Today was like me rushing to get that out and to everybody out there. So normally I do it for several hours, but the one that I was doing today was a rush event. So my apologies.
It's all good. It's just it's good because it creates a placeholder, you know, for the whole next year, and then I'm good to go. So I rely on that. That's all.
I can make the meeting on the 27th. Or, you know, I think probably, I mean, I still have grandkids, but I can do pretty much, I think, any day that week if Savannah has another day that week that works. The week before that is a problem for me.
Yeah, I could do the Wednesday or the Friday. It's just that Thursday afternoon is bad.
Could you do the Tuesday, the 25th?
Yeah, I could do Tuesday.
Yeah, because Tara, you have your surgery, right?
On the next day. And so, and they won't tell me till Tuesday what time I have to be there. But if, you know, I would be.
So you're not going to want to, okay. Yeah, well, you're not going to be on this
Tuesday.
anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it on the Tuesday, which would be the 25th.
Let's see, Wednesday is the 26th, the 25th is the
Right.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Would that work for you, Jody?
I'll be on vacation, but Michael will be here. I'll put the agenda together before I leave.
But you would be on vacation the 27th, or you'd be back?
On the 27th, I would technically still be on vacation, but I'll be in Arizona.
Okay. How does everyone-
Almost done.
so how do people feel about July 25?
Did you say 25th?
Yeah,
Yes.
the Tuesday.
Let
Same.
me- Sorry, I've got scientists working downstairs. Just a minute.
Oh, ooh.
25th is good.
And whatever date you set, if I can come, I will. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I
okay.
have to be.
No,
Yeah.
no, we understand. And Joel, you can make the Tuesday, the 25th?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
So, and was that a yes for Carol? On the 25th?
Yes, I can make the 25th.
So that gives you a quorum if Savannah, Joel, Terry, and Carol are available on the 25th. The question is, would we do it at the same time, 1 p.m.? Is that
Works
what
for
you?
me.
Yeah, I'm happy with that time.
Okay, I'll send out a meeting invite for the 1 p.m.
I'm looking at the 25th. Yeah, that's fine.
Harry, is that going to work for you? Because you're going to be getting ready. I don't know.
I don't really have any, I'm just gonna be hanging out that day working.
And not eating, right?
Well, no, it depends on, like, when I got the sort of the pre-op thing, they said I could eat up until, I could snack up until 10 p.m. But, you know, if I'm just praying they don't give me like a 7 a.m. appointment, which means I'd have to leave my house at 4 in the morning. Yeah, so it is what it is, but I actually won't know till I have a test. I have a couple more tests that I have to do because I'm really provisionally cleared for the surgery. So it's that's why I'm so stressed. But regardless, they're not going to put it on the 25th. So then we get the meeting done, right?
Okay.
I'm sorry to follow that imagination.
No.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So what is the case load look like for that week, Jody, for that meeting?
So we would have 2 courtesy reviews. One, you've already seen the Westerner. He took that was the 2-story building, 2-story addition on top of the Westerner, which is like a 5-story building, 4-story building. You'd seen it before, and he took that feedback and wanted to present something to you. The other one is a mural on the Southwestern Railroad Museum. And then there's a project that's in Armory Park, 2 projects in Armory Park and 1 in Fort Lowell.
Okay.
The one in Fort Lowell is a new house and the other 2 are just an addition and an addition.
Okay.
Doesn't get better than that, huh?
Okay, well, anyway, thank you. That sounds good. And so Jody, you're going to be out from whenever to whenever.
The 19th to I'll be back on the 31st. But I'll actually be today and yesterday I was at a swim meet, so I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm nice and red like a lobster. But they don't do it in the afternoon. But the vacation next week is actually a vacation. Well, I don't know about connectivity.
Well, you shouldn't have to worry about it. I just wondered. Okay, so alrighty, so if that's it, we'll go ahead and adjourn. If I can get back to my screen and see what time we've got. We'll adjourn at 3:01 and Jody will send me the link when it's ready or whatever. So
Yes.
and thanks everyone for your time, and sorry we went on for a while here. And thanks for helping with the solution for the next meeting.